everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a project that I have done in the past that seemed to be well received and liked, and I've actually had messages asking, hey, are you going to do this again? So you know what? Now that I'm settled in my new space, I've got a new kit sitting here in front of me. So let's get into doing another project tray series. This series is going to feature this kit, and this kit is from Click Kits, Click International, and this is the mixtape kit. This kit I'm looking right now is still currently available as of today on the website. I do have it here with me, and what I'm going to do is dive into this kit, show you how when I receive a brand new kit, how I mentally break it down into smaller chunks to create different project trays, and each tray represents a project, layout, spread, mini of some type that I want to use, and I set those specific products aside with pages to use them on. Now obviously you can't do that with everything in this kit because like these alphas, you can't put those just in one tray, so there is going to be kind of like a neutral tray type going on. So what I'll do here is show you what I've got. We're going to walk through the kit. I do pull some stuff from my stash whenever I do this. Obviously, not only do we like to use new things, but I like to incorporate things that I already have. But this time around, I tried to keep it very basic and just pulled some stencils, dies, and a couple other little bits. That way, if you choose to get this kit or if you have pieces from these different lines and want to scrap along, you can kind of keep close with me if you want to do it with me. So let's start with the unveiling of this kit. Now I have this piece, and I also have the Bella Boulevard Child Chipboard. Now this was one thing that I'm not 100% sure if this comes in the kit. I did look on the website. I didn't see it photographed with it, but it does say about it being, jam-packed full of different pieces from Bella Boulevard and Simple Stories. I'm assuming that this comes in the kit. If you are wanting to purchase this kit and are concerned if this is going to be in there, just reach out to the info email address on the website. Gia and Charissa are super about responding, and I'm sure they'll be happy to let you know. And if I get clarification in the meantime, I'll post it in the description down below. So I have the child chipboard. I will be using that in these spreads. And then let's dive into all of the other things here. Sorry for the packaging noise. And there is a lot in here. All right, so let's set this aside. So let's start with the papers first because they're the easiest to start with. So it has two different lines, the Bella Boulevard Our Love Song, and then also the new Simple Stories Heart Eyes. So there's products from both of those lines in here, and then there's also some Pink Fresh stuff in here as well. So let's start with Bella. So this is the Love Notes paper. The Our Mix, which I absolutely love this. This is so 80s, 90s vibes. I love it. Totally rad. Love this 80s print. And some records. XOXO. These would be great if you are into fussy cutting. You can fussy cut these out as titles or different strips for your project. And then also nice neutral B pattern. Love this. This is Soundtrack. These are also great for fussy cutting. I may end up doing that. And then if not, and that's not your thing, then you have a nice neutral on the back there for as well. So for the Simple Stories Heart Eyes, this is the You're My Person floral. And there's the B side. And then the Hugs and Kisses with a really pretty black heart B-side. So those are the papers. If you are a paper hoarder like myself, or if you just want some extras, there are extras of the papers listed in the shop along with some of the embellishments if you want to add some extra add-ons. Now, outside of the papers, we have some ephemera. Now we do get ephemera from the journal bits from the Simple Stories Heart Eyes, and this is the whole pack. So that is the journal bits from Simple Stories. And then you get some of the Bella die cuts. Now, this is not the whole pack. This is just a partial, which is totally fine because I don't feel like I can ever use an entire pack of Bella die cuts because they include so many. So that was the partial pack that I received. Also from the Bella line, you get the Bella Pops with the 2 cassette tape stickers. You also get the You Are My Jam epoxy stickers. And then outside of that, to be honest, I'm not sure what manufacturers these are from, but you get a really cute cork board with gold glitter music note, which works perfectly with this collection. These are 2 stars. One is a felt with a white stitch. The other one is clear with some glitter, sequins, some glitter sequins in there. And then you get some Pink Fresh items, which is the delightful puffy alphabets stickers. So these are actually like the perfect color coordination to go with the Simple Stories color palette, but yet it still pulls in tones from the other. And then you also get the matching enamel dots, which is awesome because I love me my enamel dots. You also get a package of tickets, and these are great to add as layers under your photos. You can use this for tucking under a photo and adding a date stamp on it. You can also take several of these and layer them. You get a bunch. You can layer them down your page and use them to handwrite your journaling on. I love these because there's so many different ways you can use these on not just these, but any project. So you get a bunch of those, and then you also get the Felicity Jane Annie washi strips. These are a semi-transparent, colorful, scalloped washi strip. So this is what comes in the kit. Now, to this, when I go to break this down into how I'm going to create my projects, I'm going to bring in a few things from my stash. So I'm going to set this kit aside for just a minute. And from my stash, I am going to bring in mostly different things that are typical to find in stashes, such as ribbons, twines, dyes, etc. So here's what I have. I highly unlikely will use all of this, but these are just things that I have that I would like to pull out, try to maybe use a little bit of them to get some use out of my older supplies. So for starters, I have these ribbons. These also did come from Click. I have a black and white gingham. I have a black and white polka dot, and then also a pink, very into the same color schemes as what the papers are offering, so I'm going to pull those in. I also have some twine, just in case I want to do any tags or bows or anything like that. So some Valentine's plus some black and white neutrals. I had these that I pulled them out, not sure if I'm going to use them. I've had these forever. I mean, 4 or 5 years at least. They are all hearts, but they are in different color palettes. They are enamel dots. So I pulled these out, sticking with the Valentine's theme. It's possible that I might use some of these. Then as I was going through my stencils, I came across some older dies that I have had from back in my card making days. And back into like Amy Tan dies and things like that. So I pulled them out just because I don't know if I'm really going to use these, but these are going to be things that I'm going to let sit on my desk when I'm working on these projects and try to grab from this to use. So this was an Amy Tan die. This says love, and this is a big camera with a heart. I believe this was another Amy Tan, XOXO. This folds together to make a bow. And then there's that large word love. And then there's also another heart. Here's another different version of a camera. This is the back of this bow. A frame with a heart, a letter. And then I have this Paper Smooches die that says the word love. And then I also have one last die, this Dynamics from My Favorite Things. I grabbed this one because of the flowers. There's two different sizes here, the centers of the flowers, and there's also leaves included. That die cut pack from the Bella collection had a lot of these pieces in it. And then some other ones like this, and these are so similar. I thought that if I do a project with this, that if I run out of these, I can use these dies to maybe make some more. So those are going to hang out on top of my desk as well. Other than the dies and the enamels and the ribbon and twine, I grabbed some stencils. I have a Heidi Swap one. These are, a lot of my stencils are older or ones that I have made myself because I haven't been able to find anything that I specifically want. But I hoard my stencils too, but I get a lot of use out of them. So this one's really worn. This is an old Heidi Swap one, but there is a scatter of hearts here. This is one that I made in my silhouette. It's a heart of hearts. So I kept that one out. This is an older Simon Says Stamp one. It is very tiny hearts on there. And then this is an awesome Bramble Fox stencil. You guys, if you haven't checked out their stencils, they're fabulous quality. And I love how they come with all of these. Every stencil comes with this reusable pocket. I love their stencils so much. And they do ship to the US, and it is very reasonable too. But this I grabbed because of the shape. And that is going to be one of the first trays or sketches that I'm going to put together because that was one of the first things that came to mind when I saw this. So when I do my trays, I use these guys. These have seen better days. They are the old Project Life, Becky Higgins boxes that the refill pages come in. And I have a bottom and a top of two of them. And this is what I break apart into my trays. So what I'll do is I will stagger these and leave them sit like this on most likely on my floor. And each tray is going to have a layout or a project in mind of the bits and pieces that I pulled together. Because I have 4 of them, what I will likely do is put together 3 trays with you, and then the 4th one will be everything else with the embellishments on top, because I will probably pull from the embellishments on top, because I'm not going to break all of those down, because like I said, like even these or the alphas, I don't want to cut these apart or do anything. I just want to leave them at hand so that I can just grab them if I want them. But the other pieces we'll put together. Other than these, the other thing that I do keep at hand is my planner. I use the Erin Condren planner, and it is, let me grab it real quick for you. I don't use the vertical or horizontal. I don't find any use in those and how I schedule and how I plan my things. But here, let me go to a blank month. Let's just pick May. So I get the calendar overview and the pages of lined notebook pages. So what I do then for myself is I'll plan like May, which, you know, I'll just write in what needs to go on or what happens. But when I do this, this is what I do to keep track of what my goals are, what videos I want to make, you know, where my Instagram and YouTube is at for the week. But I also use it for this. And this is to sketch out my projects. Now, when I was going through this and looking at it originally, I had 3 projects that came to mind instantly whenever I was flipping through this, and I started to sketch, and then I stopped myself because I thought, well, maybe I should incorporate one of those sketches into this video so that you can really see my whole thought process. So I am going to put this video on fast forward and break this kit down, put together 3 trays and then a tray of everything else. I'm going to try to do one sketch at least for one of the projects. and see where we end with that. Okay, you guys, so let's break this down into some of our trays. There is a lot going on in this kit. I already walked through all the bits and pieces of it, so I'm going to try not to repeat myself as much as possible. However, I do feel that showing this shows my thought processes on how I break my kits down and how I group things together. And hopefully I can give you some tips along the way that might be able to help you break down kits that you might already have, to make them useful and get them used up instead of staying in your stash. My first tray that I'm going to put together is going to use this sheet of the Simple Stories Heart Eyes paper. It's the hexagons. With this, I am going to pair the Bramble Fox stencil. This I have a thought in my head on doing some ink blending, fussy cutting, maybe cutting my photos the same size as the largest hexagon on that stencil. So with that being the case, I needed a piece of white paper. So I grabbed a sheet of white basil from my stash. And then I'm going to go through and flip through the Simple Stories die cuts. This paper had a lot of straight lines on it, so all of the die cuts in this pack that were either square, rectangle, the word strips, I am going to actually leave with this kit. I do move everything out of the way because when I was flipping through that, I felt that it was hard to see what was going on. So I tried to get rid of a lot of that color in the background and then try to simplify it out. There was a lot of shapes that were similar in this, so there you can see I'm separating down the rectangles on the left. Those that cluster up at the top right, they were rectangles, but they kind of had like the swoopy curvy thing loop going on. So I left those in a group together, as well as these hearts will have their own also. Sometimes when I get stuck and don't know how to use certain things, like those loopy rectangles, that's not something that I would typically grab for, but because there were several of the one thing, or several of the one size and design, if I find it easier to use them if I try to use them all on one project, and then it feels more intentional. So I'm going to try to use those all on another project later on down the road here. So I am going to go ahead and grab this tray that I like to use. I lay out all of the die cuts. This was something I just grabbed at the Dollar Tree. It sometimes lives on my desk if I have projects going, which in this case, this will be one of them. All of the extra die cuts that I have will probably end up here or in two other smaller trays. But I'm going to grab everything with a straight line and add it to this, and that's going to be my focus for this one, is going to be those hexagons and possibly some ink blending. Because I do the ink blending, I'm going to go through my stash, and I'm going to grab some stencils that the Heidi Swap stencil has stars on it. I originally was going to use it for hearts, so I had the black enamel hearts there, but then trying to stick with that straight line theme, I ended up pulling those hearts back off. Now this is where I went in and I finished up my sketch, wrote down a couple notes, and then added, cut my photo the same size as the hexagon. The other notes that are on there, it says black splatters. That'll help pull out the black that are in some of those designs, and then obviously in dimension of the straight lines. And then I also had a sketch of layering this pattern paper hexagon over a shadowed hexagon. So I'm also going to grab some Distress Oxide inks, throw those in there as well. Those would be color matches, and then that completes tray 1. But I will go back in there and pull out those enamel dots later and add in some stars to keep that straight line going. So once that's done, I'm going to pull over another tray, and we're going to go on to number 2. This is where I decided, though, that, it was supposed to be the stars, not the hearts. Let's put the stars back in, and now we're going to start tray number 2. Tray number 2 is going to be this other Simple Stories paper, I believe. I really like this bright orange. This was more of a floral, maybe like a love theme type thing. So I'm going to put that together. But before I do, this TV inspired a traveler's notebook spread all in of itself. I am getting a kit for February from Colorcast Designs for their wood veneers, and it is listening to eating, drinking. Here's a quick picture of it on my phone. And it has some pieces to it. So I know I'm getting that. So I'm going to design this traveler's notebook spread around those, but I'm going to use these on it. So I'm going to set those aside to use later on. But then that would be project number 2. If you want to count that one as one, even though those veneers are not included in this kit. I'm going to run through the die cuts from Bella real quick and separate those out. I find that it's easier if I do word strips and then other types of ephemera, maybe some larger words and word titles. And then also like florals. I'm going to do florals in its own little bin there because there's a lot of them and I love them. And I think I'm going to do a project with just those. And then I'm going to go through and just put like the little banners together, putting like pieces together so that if I'm looking for something, it's just easier for me to grab. There's also 2 pieces. One says top 10, the other one says playlist. I pull those out and stick those with the television and tickets from Simple Stories because those are pieces that I think that will go good with that traveler's notebook spread. So those are all going to go there by themselves. And then I'm going to leave those flowers there too by themselves because I will end up pulling a tray aside to do something with those specifically. So back to the larger trays, this Simple Stories orange floral becomes a project of its own, and I'm trying to find some trays. My desk was really getting cumbersome at this point because I had mixed media, I had things everywhere, stuff was dropping and falling, I had my puppy sitting at my feet, and yeah, so it was just pause for a second so that stuff didn't fall everywhere and my trays didn't fall all over the floor because I really think that was going to happen. But anywho, this piece here I'm going to do, I really liked this text on the back of this. So I had a thought to do some mixed media because I really liked this blue text pattern, but I also liked the other side, which was the florals. But the florals themselves, that for me is just way too bold and just way too much to do just by itself. So what I'm doing is sketching out a thought of taking this on a diagonal. And this is a perfect example of my thought coming together from start to finish as I look at my product, sketch out my pages, and then, okay, I like these 2 die cuts. They're larger, so I want to use those as my focal point. So I'm doing my sketch at the same time I'm doing this. I look at these circles, find that it's like, not really happening. So we're just going to stick with the heart theme. So I just toss those on there thinking that I would just leave that there. And then I come across those loopy rectangles and I thought, oh, well, we can incorporate these in because they're larger, they'll fit pretty good on this page. I tend for this page to be my mixed media spread, so I think I can incorporate those with some white gesso to help them pop and give them that little bit of color difference. And then like layer these little hearts maybe around them. One of them had a space for some journaling or my date stamp. So instead of actually sketching this whole thing out, I pause and take a picture of it because I like the way that it was coming together. I do add a little bit of sketching on there, but sometimes when it comes together like this, it's just easier to take a photo. So I just do that, and then I just drop this piece along with those die cuts in that tray. But while I have that there, I'm going to go through and grab my Simon Says Stamp heart stencil. I want to put that in the tray because I have intent to using that. I did pull this other one in, but then I realized, you know what, I'm not going to have the space to do that large heart, so I'm going to put that back over to the side and just stick with the smaller ones. Because this was heart themed, I grabbed all of those heart enamel dots, tossed those all into the tray. I do grab the tickets, and then I do grab a couple mixed media sprays in here as well. I believe this is the Distress Oxides that I grabbed for these ones. I'm not sure what colors they are at the very end. I'll show you, I'll recap at the very end and put it through. But I do go through my stash of the Distress Oxides, and I put 3 in there. I think it's Abandoned Coral, Pink Flamingo, and I end up picking not peacock feathers, but the pistachio one, I think, is the one that I ended up with. And maybe I left the peacock feathers one in there too. I thought those colors would go really well. And then I'll probably leave some of that or the A side of those orange flowers to fussy cut to add in a little bit more. So that is going to complete this one. I do put in the dies. I'm sorry, I do put in the dies from this piece because I think I might try to make some bows to add some more detail in there, but I'm not sure, but we'll just leave it there. So that's going to complete another one, and I was off. That was not number 3. That was actually number 4 if you count the 2 in that little gray and white tray there at the top of my screen. So I finished doing some sketch real quick before I lose track of what I want to do. And then that gives me, I'm going through mentally and trying to think, well, I want to do a cut file, a mini, a TN, a mixed media, a non-mixed media. I'm trying to find a variety, and I'll explain a little bit more at the very end as to why and a little bit more in depth, but that's what I was doing there. That was my thought of, this is what's left, this is what I want to do yet. So as I'm going through this, I'm kind of looking to see what do I have left and how I want to tackle this, because I actually kind of struggled a little bit with the Bella papers. I absolutely love Bella products. Their colors are my jam. Their images are my jam. But for some reason, there was so much going on in these papers, and I liked all of them and had ideas for all of them, that it was hard for me just to step back and say, well, we can't do everything. What do I really want to do? And that's where I pulled out the music note paper, the paper with all the cassette tapes on it, and then the one with all the music instruments on it. And I pulled together that music note cork and some of the other stickers because we are going to a concert soon. And I thought, well, you know what, that would be great to document that. And then I want to do these ones as the cut file layout. I do have a cut file for a cassette tape that I'm going to focus on, and then I think I have in that same file music notes, so I might try to cut out some music notes and do larger music notes that are in solid colored paper on top of that music note pattern paper. So this one, even though I'm pulling it together as one tray, might end up as 2. But when I got to this point, I realized that I still had the chipboards that I haven't even touched yet. So I pulled those out, and my OCD got me on this one because usually I have to have my chipboard on the chipboard sheet in the plastic. And I thought, you know what, if I do that, I'm not going to use it. I need to pull it out. I need to take it apart, and that will make my brain think that it's okay to use this. So that's what I'm doing here. I actually pull together I pull back out, some of my other trays, like this piece here, and then I go through this chipboard and I pop out all of the stars, and I put all of the stars in there. So that's the repeat pattern for that piece. So we're going to put the stars with those. This one is going to be the mixed tapes. There's a couple of tapes. There's quite a few music notes. I'm going to pull everything music note with guitar tape related. It's going on this one. And then I did pop out those 4 little circles up on the top. There was a stop, pause, rewind or skip, and there was a 4th one. I don't remember what it was, but I pulled those out to put with the pieces for the Traveler's Notebook spread that I'm going to do. So that is that piece, and then I'm down to just 2 pieces of paper. And when I was looking at this one, I was trying to fumble through some of the die cuts to think, well, what can I really do with this? Because I don't know what I want to do, but I want to use it. So when I was going through the die cuts, I ended up finding a couple more pieces of music note related or music related pieces, and I pulled those out and ended up putting them back over in that kit, the tray that I just made. It'll go up. It'll live in there. So as I'm going through all of these, just pulling music related stuff out, I'm going to pop those into the other tray. And then the paper that is behind this that has all those words on it, when I was looking at the chipboards, I saw this rainbow that was sitting on my tray here in the middle of the screen, and it gave me the idea of, I think that it would be really cool to take these words on this 12 by 12 paper and fussy cut them and then sew them to my layout in the shape of a rainbow. But you guys, as much as I love for that to happen, I don't know if I'm going to have the patience to cut out all of those little words. So I'm going to try. Maybe I'll give that to myself as a project to do when I'm sitting down watching TV, or maybe I'll just pick the lines that have the X's and O's on it to keep it easier. But we're going to put a tray together with that intention. And then we're going to add in some other things as a plan B, just in case I try to do that and then I just can't anymore. So back to the chipboard, there were a lot of flowers on this, and again, I'm going to pop those off, put those with the flowers. I kind of feel like I'm all over the place at this point, and truthfully, I really am. And it's just because I'm getting familiar with my product. And that's all that it is at this point, is familiarizing myself with my product, putting like things with like things, and patterns and designs that go with other patterns and designs in the trays that I'm creating. Oh, I found that little banner there. That's what that was. I found that little banner. It was music related, so I popped it off and stuck it on that music tray as well. And then after this is where I'm going to go in and pull the 2 or 3 rainbows that there were, and then I'm going to also pop out the hearts, because it was that one rainbow die cut with the heart in the center that led me to this final sketch that I'm going to do here. And I'm labeling that as a 12 by 12 fussy cut layout, with 3, the 3 arcs of the rainbow with a photo, and keeping that similar, like that large heart in the middle. So we'll see how this ends up going. But I might end up just sticking with the X's and O's, because there are quite a few rows of that. I think there was 5 rows of the X's and O's that I counted. So I might, if I have a circle punch, if the stars align and I have a circle punch that fits that O perfectly, I probably am just going to do the X's and O's. That way I just circle punch the O's and then fussy cut the X's, and that will become my arcs. But I'm going to pull the hearts out and anything rainbow related with that, and then 3 pastels. And that is going to pretty much wrap this one up, with the exception of some larger titles that I pull from the die cuts. I think I wanted to put those in there too, just because they were hearts, but then I decided to put them back because they were so general that they could really go on anything, so I just left them back in my tray. After I'm flipping through all of those little die cuts, I did the same thing with the word strips. I decided that, you know what, that's kind of like it. I'm done with those, and I was staring at this piece of paper wanting to do something too. And I could have really done something with this one, I think, but I think that it would have been too much and that it would have been forced. So I'm just going to stop there. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And it's because I was only intending on making this a mini series and doing like 3 projects. But as I started going through some things, a lot more ideas came to mind. I developed more sketches than what I had really intend on doing. So right now I have these. I do have a project in mind for this. It's using the cameras, but I have a cut file in mind, so I'm going to make that into a cut file project. What I tried to do whenever I put these together was I tried to get a project for everyone. So I know that not everybody that comes here to my channel likes mini journals. Not everybody does mixed media. Not everybody does traveler's notebooks. So what I tried to do was grab a variety. So as of right now, I have a regular 12 by 12 layout. I might do some ink blending on it, but it's not heavy mixed media. It's just going to be a little bit. So And even if you don't do mixed media, you can definitely do this layout and still get the close to the same look without doing it. So I'm just going to consider that a regular layout. Then I have a cut file layout. I have a traveler's notebook layout. I have a mixed media layout. I have a layout dedicated to fussy cutting. And then I have a mini album in mind. I did not sketch the mini album just because for me, there's really no sense. I have it in my head how I want to do it. So there's really no sense for me to put it on paper because I will use what I have left over to make it. And that's usually how I end up killing a kit, so to speak. Whenever I do projects like these, is my last project or so is usually a mini album. And that's whenever I just dump everything that's left over that I have into that mini. Now, I do have some mixed media stuff that I did pull out along the way. I did put in some of my stencils. I didn't go into this wanting to do that, but as I got going and the ideas started coming, I threw it in there because those products then will help remind me of what I wanted to do when it comes time to do those projects. So in my generic bin, I'll call it, it's really not the generic bin, it's the leftover bin. Let's call it the leftover tray. Is going to be everything else that I don't have. Sorry, I'm trying to get my boxes so that they don't slide. There we go. In this is going to be everything else that doesn't have a project assigned to it. Right out of the gate anyways, which for this is this piece of paper, which I had an idea of doing something with the large words, but I'm not going to push myself. I feel like it's going to be forced if I try to do it. So I'm just going to let it go and maybe something will come along the way as I start creating. So I have what is left of that chipboard. Also in here is going to be the Pink Fresh Alphas, the Felicity Jane Washi enamel dots and enamel shapes. Those will stay right on top because I know I'll be grabbing for all of those. Actually, now that I say that, this is going to go with one of my trays because I have an idea. These dies that I have still sitting out here, I didn't pull them for any specific reason for anything. So I'm just going to take these and sit these aside on my desk somewhere else. So that it doesn't get mixed up with this, because I want this to be what product I have left to focus on using what I have. So this is so far what isn't assigned. And then aside from this, let me grab this little tray will work. I'm going to grab a little tray. Oh, I must have used this for watercoloring because it has some stuff in it. So I'm going to grab a little tray, and in there is going to go these die cut pieces. Oops. So I can just grab that little tray if needed. These, I did not have anything specifically assigned to them. Sometimes I find it very hard to use pieces like this on my projects and layouts. Sometimes I find it very easy. Sometimes I'll tuck them under a photo. Other times those are what I use in my mini albums. I'll cut them down and make titles and put them over pictures. Other than those, these three pieces are the only three pieces I have left over from the Simple Stories. But I'm going to keep these separate. I'm going to keep my Bella Boulevard in that one. And then I'm going to grab this little tray with these three little pieces for my Simple Stories pack. Just because as I go through the projects that I have in my trays already, I highly and unlikely am going to use every die cut that I set aside for it. So as I complete projects, whatever die cuts I don't use, I'll filter and put them back into these two trays, and then I can grab from those on other projects. So this is what I have left over. Everything else in that kit has been assigned a project or a layout, so to speak. So this is going to go aside. For me, aside is on one of my shelves up to my left. It's easy for me to grab. It's in an opening and I can reach for it whenever I'm working on a layout. Okay. Don't fall. Okay, so everything that is left at this point has a project, or I have a project in mind for it. I have way more than 3, like I said, and here's what I've got. I'm going to start with the trays first. This tray has 2. What I'm thinking is, this was one that I sketched out last, and this is one of those aha ones that kind of came to me. I have this sketched out to do a rainbow, and that's why I pulled these rainbows. My thought is to actually fussy cut these letters out and make them into a rainbow and stitch that rainbow on. Maybe some mixed media. That's why I pulled these, because these are pastel colors. It won't be crazy overload mixed media, but maybe some mixed media. And then I have these for titles and then hearts for accents. I pulled the Felicity Jane because if I start to do this and find that this fussy cutting is just way too much and it's way too time consuming, what I'll probably do is just cut strips and use the different strips and then layer my strips down my page, and then these I'll use to tuck under those strips. So this is kind of one of those layouts of, we're going to start it as a fussy cut, see how it works, and if it doesn't work as a fussy cut, we're going to take it a little bit different route. Underneath this, I have another one, and that is this mixtaped one, all of the music related ones. I did this because I absolutely love these cassette tapes. I have a cut file in mind for this layout. Actually, I have 2 cut files in mind. One is a music note, one is a mixtape. So we'll see how it goes. My husband and I are going to see the Clarks this weekend. So I think that I'm going to have some photos of us and possibly of our friends and things like that. So I think I'm going to try to squeeze 2 layouts out of this. But if not, I'm at least going to get 1. So this is one layout. This is layout number 2. Layout number 3 was this one that we did in the very beginning. That was using the hexagon shapes that I sketched out here. And my idea on this one is to sketch out some hexagons scattered around the page. Use this as some back shadowing. So like layer this, let's turn it this way. So layer this fussy cut out on top of maybe this one, and then shadow in, and then pop the other one up on foam adhesive, kind of make it 3-dimensional. That's where I was saying, like, it can be mixed media, but it doesn't have to be mixed media. But anyways, this one is all about the die cuts that have straight lines. So with the hexagons being all straight lines and not hearts with curved lines or circles with curved lines, I'm sticking to a straight line project with this one. So that's why I pulled the stars. And when I went through the die cuts, I grabbed everything that had a straight line. If it was rectangle, square, whatever, grabbed it, threw it in, straight lines. So this is going to be a regular layout intentionally. I'm intending for this to be a regular layout, maybe a little blending, using straight lines. So that is project number 3. Project number 4 is going to be my mixed media layout. Now, I'm not saying that this, when I say project number 4, that doesn't mean that's the order that I'm going to be doing this in. That's just the order that I'm going through them right now. Project number 4 is going to be my mixed media focused layout. For this layout, I have 1 sheet of paper, which is what I try to do when I do mixed media, is I just grab 1 sheet of 12 by 12, because sometimes we find that we have 1 sheet of pattern paper left of a kit and we don't know what to do with it. Well, mixed media is a great way to use up that piece of paper. So I have 1 piece of paper, which is the Simple Stories, and it is the You Are My Person with all these really pretty flowers on it. So my idea is to take the page at an angle, use a part of this for the page, mixed media using stencils and Distress Oxide sprays down below, add in some color. I do have a lot of die cuts here to help break up some of this teal paper. And then the other piece that's going to be left over from this, maybe I'll take a piece of it and tuck it underneath or do some layering, but I most likely will end up fussy cutting some of these out to use for embellishments to match with that. I did grab my hearts because this layout is about using curves. So all of my pieces that I have left here is all of the hearts. Yes, these are rectangulars, but they're more of the curved rectangular. So this is more of like a looser curve heart spread. So my heart die cuts, I grabbed my heart enamel shapes and my heart stencil to use. And because it's mixed media, which means there's probably gonna be a lot going on the page, so I grabbed these for a couple reasons. One, they're white, so it's going to help break up all of the color that's going to go on this page. And two, these might be great for journaling spots because I don't know how much mixed media I'm going to get into. I can use these to add my journaling on. And then lastly, I did throw this one on because I think I might try to make some bows to go on some of these hearts or the photos that I use. So that is thought behind layout number, what are we on? 4. So here are 4 12 by 12 layouts. On top of these 4 12 by 12 layouts, I also pulled together 2 other projects. I'm going to set those aside. So I pulled together 2 other projects, and that was these. I love these flowers, you guys. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I don't know if it is going to be a mini album. I don't know if it's going to be, it probably won't be a mini album. It's either probably going to end up evolving into a 12 by 12 layout of some type, maybe a cut file one. I'm gonna see what kind of cut files I have in my stash, but look how cute these are. And then I pulled all of those flowers together from the die cuts and the chipboards, and then that's where I'm going to throw this in for these, to add in more if I need it. And then the papers that I have scraps left over from the other projects, I'll use those scrap pieces from the Bella papers to make these. So this is going to be a project. I don't know how this one is going to come together yet, but I'm going to leave this together because I intentionally want to make a project with all of the florals. And then the final project that I have is this little bit. This little bit here inspired this TV, inspired this project. I have, and I showed it in the video footage, my Colorcast Designs kit for February is the wood veneers. I get the wood veneers from them. It is the Currently kit. I showed it in the reels. It was like, it's currently listening, eating, drinking, reading, creating, watching, that type of thing. So I pulled out the TV, the 2 admission tickets, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use it for this or if I'm going to use this for the mixtape one for our concert layouts. I'm not sure, but I'm going to leave them in here for right now. Playlist, top 10, and then these fast stop, play, pause, fast forward, rewind, whatever, chipboards for that. I'm going to do a traveler's notebook spread with that once I get my Colorcast Designs kit. Now, I'm probably not going to include that spread in this mini series just because the wood veneers don't come specifically with this, and that's going to be a large part of this traveler's notebook spread. But I will show it, whether it's in the wrap-up video or on my Instagram channel or something. I will post it somewhere so that you can see it, but I'm not sure if that's one that I'm going to really intentionally set in this series just because of the product lack. If you don't have the Colorcast Designs kit, then it's not going to really work if you just have these products. So that is the layouts that I have. So we have, well, and then my last one, like I said before, I usually do a mini album. So I have a mini, a traveler's notebook, and I don't know what this is going to turn into. A mixed media. These 2 are going to maybe be like a light mixed media, and then the mixtape underneath is 6. Here's another one that's 7, and then if I end up breaking this one down, the music one down into 2, that'll end up with 8. So I potentially have 8 projects sitting here that I just, in a matter of, how long is this video? An hour? Yeah, 1 hour, 10 minutes is what I have filmed this. So in 1 hour and 10 minutes, I took the time. I have together potentially 8 projects to use that entire kit on. And because I took that hour, now I can just pound out my projects and I'll get my memory scrapped, my photos documented, my product used, and I get to use it whenever I get it instead of hoarding it because I don't want to use it. So I am going to end video number 1 there. As I do these projects, I'm going to try to do a video for all of the projects that I have here with the exception of this one. So I would say at least 6 videos. I don't want to commit to all 8, but we're going to shoot for at least 6 videos out of the series. And because this is a more of like a Valentine's love kit, whatnot, and some of these are marketed that way, I'm going to try to get all of these projects done in the month of February. It likely will start before then, but I'm going to try to get these started now and wrapped up by the end of February. And then I will also try to do a wrap-up video like I did for my last series that will include every project that I made with the kit and do a flip through of all of the projects and then show you what I have left over that'll end up in my stash to use down the road. So I'm super excited about this Project Tray series because it has been a long time since I have done one. So if you are new to my channel, please hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe and the bell so that you're notified every time that I upload a video for this series so that you can follow along or even use something from your stash to do something similar. I would love to see what you create following through this. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. But until then, bye.